Everyone, I would like to welcome Market Junction. Market Junction is a band based out of Houston. We got Matt and Justin here. Say hi.
What's up,
Hey, what's
everybody?
going on? Thanks for having
Welcome to the podcast world.
me.
Oh yeah, so Market Junction recently just released their full album, Burning Bridges, after releasing Out of Love and Nebraska and a couple other singles. I've been a big fan of Market Junction since I found them. Honestly, about I think 2 months ago. Just listened the crap out of their stuff, and we finally got an opportunity to sit down for a podcast and just chat. So,
Yeah, man, I'm really glad you're having us on your program. It's really cool for us.
So Matt, why don't you tell us a little backstory on the band, how y'all came together, and all that stuff?
Okay, so Justin's been playing guitar forever. When did you start playing guitar?
Not forever. I guess early high school, late middle school.
Yeah. So I didn't start playing guitar until I was 21, and Justin was already really good by the time I picked up a guitar, and so I didn't even think he would ever play in a band with me because he was way too good to play with me. And I started out leading worship at churches, and then eventually I started a contemporary rock band, if you can believe that. And so I was a front man for that. Justin was a front man for, what would you classify your band?
Kind of a southern rock blues band, and riffy, just played covers and stuff. But
we played the same little local Mont Bellevue festival type thing. It's called Country Market Days.
Yeah.
And so Taylor, our bass player, was playing with you in your band.
Yeah.
And then after that, both our bands played that little thing.
Okay.
We have been friends forever, and we both basically quit our bands and decided we were going to start a band together because we wanted to go in a different musical direction. Both of us did. We were big fans of folk Americana music, even though it wasn't called Americana back then, really. And Taylor is the one that came up with the name. He pieced together Country Market.
Y'all played at the marketplace and kind of together Junction. I was going to ask if that's how the name came about.
Coming up with a band name is the worst. You feel like a child because everything sounds like you're trying to come up with your superhero name or something.
Yeah, it's so bad.
Horrible.
Well, I mean, it's a lot like naming a business or a brand, or even like a sports team. It's like, well, this is what everyone's gonna know as our band, as our brand name for ever. So, I mean, going back to, or you can think about the Washington football team right now, whenever they had to strip the Redskins name, coming up with a team name in a month period before the season starts, impossible.
Yeah.
Well, they could just do like the Texans did. I remember when they first came up with that name, I thought, wow, that was like a 2-minute meeting. Texans.
All right, we're done here.
Yeah, we're done. Let's move on.
Yeah. So, that's what I was going to ask next, where the name came about. So when did y'all start writing together first?
That was end of 2011.
Yeah.
Right? So Matt gifted me a vinyl of Ray LaMontagne, God Willing, The Creek Won't Rise. And instant fan, great record, big inspiration for the direction we wanted to go. And we just thought that's the kind of music we want to write, and people will like it or they won't, and it makes us happy. So
that's good.
But 2011, to answer your question.
Yeah.
So 2011, and then it took till 2016 to release your first album. Were y'all just kind of stockpiling stuff up there?
So we actually released. So this is my fault mostly, but we have a full-length record that was out there. We released it in 2012. It's called Even Heroes Have Gravestones, or I think we just called it Heroes Have Gravestones. You have a copy? Yeah, there it is right there.
Oh, cool.
And so what happened is we changed distributors, and because we were doing like the self-distribution thing at
Yeah.
first, and you have all these subscriptions with, Reverb Nation or CD Baby or whoever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what we realized is when we moved distributors, our entire catalog moved over except for that record, and then the subscription ran out. Basically, they didn't even email me. They're just like, you're done, and it pulled our stuff, and I'm like, well, I need to put it back out there. But then at this point, we're almost 10 years in, and we're looking back at that first record going, do we really want to redistribute that record?
Yeah. Well, shoot, y'all could re-record some of the songs and put them out as singles.
There's been talk. There's been talk about that.
It's funny. He's been listening.
Hey, because I need me some more Market Junction. No, but I mean, you see bands nowadays release single after single, and album after album, especially right now because of all the writing that's been going on. There's more music being released now than ever. So I mean, I would definitely look into it if I were y'all. I'm sure there's some really good stuff on there.
I think the game plan has changed as far as releasing too. Like, I think that, we just released that full length record, but I think that the algorithms are wanting to be fed more often than every 2 years, right? So we realized that a little late in the game in our marketing campaign for this last record, but going forward, we may try to figure out a way to feed the machine a little more frequently, and that may be part of it, is like recording some of the old stuff in a different way and releasing it out there,
Mm-hmm. Now, when it comes to like distribution and all that stuff, I mean, that stuff seems like tough, like picking a distributor, like all that. How did y'all settle on one, and what made y'all want to switch?
There weren't a whole lot of distributors beating our door down, just begging to get our record. But it was kind of one of those things where we knew people that were with Smith Entertainment, the people that distributed the last one, and we knew people that they were already distributing for, and so we're like, well, let's see if they'll do it, and they would, and they've been great to deal with. Frank over there is like, he's awesome.
Yeah.
And, it's just nice to have somebody that when you need something, you can pick up the phone and call them. You don't have to like some email through a help desk on a website or something.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that I've been looking into with Country Underdog, is like getting into the distribution business, because I mean, so many people go through like CD Baby or whatever, and they just take a chunk out of like streams that are already like profit is not very much like per stream. So I don't know, and I just want to make everything easier for people. I think things are things are getting there, but at the same time, there's more options nowadays to do everything, so it's confusing, like if you're just starting a band, like what to do. But yeah, that's interesting.
We could write a book on that.
It definitely seems to be one of the broken areas of what we're trying to do. Is I think we got our first check in 10 years or 8 years, I guess. We got our first check for putting music out, and it was $200 something.
Yeah, like $240, something like that.
And not that I'm saying people should be spending more on us. It'd be nice, but it's not that. It's just the mediums through which we can get our music out. It's just tough figuring out how to keep it going, and especially when your last resource is just to gig more, and so when you can't gig more, sorry, poor me's.
Yeah.
It's a tough part of the business, figuring out how to keep going.
For sure. I mean, that's one thing I've noticed. I mean, Spotify and Apple Music being out, that's all great. It's great for me. It's great for the consumer. It's great to put music out there and like, hey, go listen to this. Like, it's easy. But when it comes to like the good old days of buying something on iTunes or just buying someone's CD, like it's a little hard for the musician, and I feel for him. So eventually, like, I want to figure out how I can help that, which, I mean, you just got to listen as much as you can. And then we got to get back to live shows.
Yes.
Yeah. That'd be a huge help. And there's so many artists that's where the lion's share of their income is coming from, that it's like, without that piece, I think we're going to see like a thinning of the herd, somewhat, at least for a while, because people are going, this model isn't working anymore. Like we got to figure out a way. But the cool thing about there being so many independent artists like us is we run it like a small business. Like how can we adapt and change and overcome? And
Yep.
the innovation in the industry is going to continue to grow. And I think we're in the long term, maybe we'll be the better for it. I don't know.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, y'all have been around now. It's just hard work. I'm sure y'all know that more than anyone. Um, and so I mean, I want to get y'all's music out there as much as I can. I mean, everyone who I've introduced y'all's music to really enjoys it. I mean, shoot, I just had a friend. He's going through a breakup out in California, and I sent him some of y'all's songs, and he was like, "That made me cry, but it helped."
That's good.
Those are our people, man. If we can
Yeah.
snag them in the middle of that, man, we got a lifer.
That's right. Yeah.
But so yeah, don't even get me started on that. But so I was like, damn, that's perfect. Let's see. So I want to go through y'all's album a little bit, and y'all can talk about like more of like a backstory on them, like how they came about, stuff like that. So I mean, we can start with the title track, "When Your Heart Begins to Ache." Like, just what's the backstory on that one?
So that I think that was like either that one or Nebraska was one of the first songs that we wrote for the record. Like before we even realized we were going to make a record, I had those because we've been playing "When Your Heart Begins to Ache" for a long time, in many different versions of it. But the inspiration for that song came through the idea of I was 19. Sat my dad down and said, "Hey, I'm gonna get married." I was dating my high school sweetheart, had been dating her for 2 years, and said, "Hey, I'm gonna get married." And my dad, I could tell, had a lot to say about that, but he is not a man of many words, and I think he was afraid to sound off-putting of the idea, So he just like made this grunting noise, as dad can do sometimes. Or at least my dad does. When what's the saying? He's upset about something. He's just like,
Yeah.
And so that's what he did. And I was like, well, I don't know. I didn't know what he meant by that. And I think it took a divorce and remarried and 4 kids later to go, all right, I think I get it. I think I'm starting to understand it. But I didn't have a chorus. And so me and Justin sat down and he was instrumental in banging out that chorus. And so that's really where it came from.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that. It's hard to tell that when you listen to it, but hearing that, it makes complete sense.
It flips a different switch, right? Like you're not going to be able to hear it any other way now, probably.
Right. And that now it kind of puts this perspective on the song, like it's like through the years, like a growing progression. Not before it was like a single moment. It was like oh, you can tell you're in love when your heart begins to ache. Like you just met, it could just happen when like you met a girl, when your heart begins to ache. But now it's like through the years, it gives a lot deeper meaning. That's really cool.
That's so interesting to hear how people hear it. I love that. That's cool to think about.
Yeah.
We never get to hear that perspective.
I thought of it from a like momentary, like basis. Now come to know it's like on a deeper basis, and I can honestly relate to it that better, because I mean I'm not exactly falling in love with anyone right now, so it's kind of like a process. So that's really cool. What about "Out of Love"? Let's hear a backstory on that one.
Justin was instrumental in like the way that song came out on the record is a lot of Justin's ideas.
I'm trying to remember how that started.
It started with the idea.
I remember changing.
Yeah, the original format of it was way different, but the idea was basically like those signs that hang in people's houses. Like we see them all the time. Like it'll be like all because 2 people fell in love, or all because 2 hearts fell in love.
Bless this family.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those really nice,
Yeah.
uh, Pinterest type, signs.
Mhm.
And because we like to write heartbreak songs, we thought we'd twist that all up and turn it, play on words and turn it into a more sad, uh, you know,
Uh-huh.
way of that. Really, I mean, they're to get like really super personal about at least the first verse.
Mhm.
I had been through a divorce before, remarried, was sitting across the table from my wife having lunch one day, and I just saw like that thing in her eye that was like, we're disconnected. Like there's just not something's not right,
Mhm.
And so I said, hey, I don't want to go through what I went through last time. Like we got counseling. We went through 6 months of marriage counseling. Not really with a major glaring problem, just like to learn to communicate better.
Right.
And because I didn't want the situation to play out the way the song played out, you know. So
Mhm.
like the song takes a darker tone, or more like, you know, hey, this isn't working out. It
Okay.
worked out for me in real life.
So you wrote the song before y'all went through that?
I think ideas were coming together. Like Justin and I talked about the sign idea. We
Mhm.
talked about started to feel out the song, and then that moment happened at lunch with my wife now,
Yeah.
Sarah,
It started coming
and
together.
that's when the like pieces started coming together. But the
That's so
original
cool.
version, I wish I could remember what it sounded like. It was way different.
That's like a scene from a movie. Like y'all are going through that, and then like it just you're walking down the street, and the song starts playing, and it's like all coming together. It's like, oh, that's cool. Um, all right. What about I hope it breaks your heart. It's real somber.
Reading all these.
Yeah, it is.
Um,
I'm trying to think about that one. That was a late write. Like we did not have that song done when we were in the when we went into the studio to start the record. And then so I had pieces of it, and we were upstairs in your old house. We were working through it, and Justin came up with that guitar lick that you hear on the front of it. But he did it on his acoustic guitar because we were sitting with two acoustic
we wanted
guitars.
to do that on acoustic.
Yeah, and we still may. That would be a fun one.
But got lost in translation through the studio process. It's fine, but yeah.
Do you play it differently live?
So I use when we do play it live, I play my electric, and it's more of almost up tempo for us.
Okay.
It's more of a rocked out feel when we play it live. It had a certain somberness in that acoustic demo that we did that it was like, oh, if we could just capture that, which we may go back and try to do that. But I remember going into that songwriting session, we didn't have a chorus. We wrote a chorus the chorus to it that day, and Justin nailed that guitar lick, and it just kind of came. But the whole idea was like it needed to fit a piece in the puzzle of the record. There was we're trying to make this overarching story, and that piece of the puzzle was felt like it was missing,
Yeah. So whenever you went in to record the record, or whenever you started the record, did you have a set idea of how many tracks you wanted on the record, and what kind of story you wanted to tell?
Every time a few times when we go in to record a record, we think we finally got it down. Know how many tracks, feel it, and every time it just gets opened up and rearranged, and we get a lot of counsel from producers and engineers, and I'm going to stop pretending like we've got it figured out.
We overthink everything too. Justin and I are basically the same person when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like
that's not a bad thing though.
That was supposed to be the title track of the record. I hope it breaks your heart.
It was
supposed to be the title track. Yep. And then it got changed to Burning Bridges.
Oh man,
later.
Right.
Yeah.
Burning Bridges is short, and it's quick. I think it captures the album really well, because I mean and go through everything that y'all go through on this record, and some bridges burned, but but so what how did Nebraska come about, and why Nebraska?
So
Cody Pickens.
Cody Pickens, he's my ex brother-in-law. Okay, so
Okay.
he's my ex-wife's twin brother.
Mm-hmm.
He moved in as my roommate after I went through the divorce.
Really?
Yeah, I know
That's
it's hard
interesting.
to wrap all that around your head. But so he was my brother-in-law. He moved in, and then he was working on the railroad, and the railroad. I don't know if my internet is lost. The railroad had him in Nebraska working, and so I called him that day, and he said, I said, hey, where are you? He said, I'm working on the railroad in Nebraska. And I said, man, I've never been to Nebraska. What's it like? And he said, oh, if you don't like corn or wind or dust, then there's no reason for you to visit Nebraska.
Okay.
And for some reason that just hit me in a weird way. I hung up the phone and just carried that idea around. And eventually we sat down and just banged it out,
That's so cool. And then y'all of course did a video, like a live performance on that, right?
We did not catch that. Your audio is hold on.
Try again. Okay.
Yeah, try that again.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah. That's better.
Oh, y'all can? Okay. So y'all of course did a live performance video for Nebraska, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And so whenever it comes to doing the videos, how do you decide which songs you want to do, and what kind of setting you want to have?
Ooh, a lot of it, like the songs, is kind of like we have a lot of input from a lot of people, but at the end of the day, me and Justin make the call on what song is going to be featured in a video.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kind of how it falls. There's no set of rules for me. Like for Out of Love, I thought that one was just obvious. We had to do a full blown video.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
And that's just because of the way the song came out. And if I can listen to a song and it feels cinematic and I can see images,
yes,
then that's kind of how I go about it.
Yeah.
And then the live performance thing fits almost anything,
Mm-hmm.
But
like who's available and how much money do we have?
Yeah.
To make a video, And so we just like with the Nebraska and Western Coast, me on the acoustic, it was like we had a perfect opportunity to go and do that for a very reasonable amount of money. So it was like, I'm gonna go do that,
And then y'all put the money into Out of Love.
What's that?
Y'all put the money into Out of Love.
Yeah.
Which I think is that when I first saw that, it gave me chills. How did y'all settle on the stage idea and the two people reading back to each other?
That was all Justin, man. He concocted that entire thing in his head.
Really?
Well, so
he directed it too. You said I'm gonna brag on him a little bit because he's very, very good at that kind of stuff. Like imagining what it's gonna be and putting it into place. I have zero talent when it comes to that, and so he did literally everything. I helped make it rain when we were dropping the water. That's all I did.
So that was, thank you. But everybody helped and pitched in, and we did that whole video in one day, and we did it at our studio. And so, but yeah, way over our heads on that one.
How did y'all know the two people who were in the video?
So they are family members of our bass player, Taylor. And the one thing, with video is everybody looks fatter. So I said that we need two of the skinniest people we can find. they were very trim and skinny and had a good look to them. I was like, that'll, Yeah. We winged so much of that. I'm saying that in a humble way. We winged something. We prayed it would work, and the rain when it rained on, we were going to use a water hose, and inside
Total
the studio,
nightmares.
it was a nightmare because, long story short, I ended up spraying half of the computer equipment on
Oh
accident.
gosh.
Oh yeah. After being told, "Don't do that, don't do that," and I said, "I got it." And I
When Justin gets in his head that he's going to do something, when he thinks that he's right about something, because I was like, dude, don't do that. He's like, I could do it.
Stubborn.
Wow.
Well, it's so funny. I had two of my friends separately. When I sent the video to them, they were all, that wasn't her singing. Whenever the girls reading her part,
You got it.
they were just kind of joking, but
Yeah, that's
I
hilarious.
was like, that's not the point. But so let's see. I know you got like 15 minutes. We'll go through a few more and just talk. Let's see. I'm really curious about A Stone Will Sink and Bird in a Cage. How those came about.
So I can tell you, Bird in a Cage started off as the same song as Western Coast.
Really?
They were one. So that melody on guitar
Mm-hmm.
and the melody of "I'm all alone on the Western Coast, out of gas."
Yeah.
That was.
So it does sound like Bird and Cage now that you
It was
say that.
even a bird in a cage is afraid. So it was like the same tag. And we love that melody and we love those ideas, but we couldn't marry the stories together.
Okay.
And so we had to split them into two songs. And so Bird in a Cage ended up being like the idea
Mm-hmm.
was there. And then again, sounded totally different at the beginning of the demo process. And you did some mandolin stuff that was like, okay, we got to go in this direction because the mandolin work was so like key to the sound of the song that we ended up taking it in a more upbeat, positive sounding.
So since Western Coast and Bird and Cage were once thing, were y'all kind of trying to go with the you're all alone, but you like need to get out there in the world kind of thing, or what are you like?
I think Bird in a Cage was more like, hey, everything in life is backwards, and there's a lot of stuff that's just messed up, and you need to just get used to that, and don't let it ruin your outlook. Like realize that if you teach a boy to speak, he's going to tell you a lie. It's part of the deal. If you give a man a job, he's going to work overtime. We're going to abuse every gift that we have. It's kind of the mentality is. So like realize that, but don't let it, don't let it get you down. Even a bird is afraid of that
Open sky.
open sky. Like that's where the bird belongs, and they're afraid of it. So that was the idea at least.
Interesting. Very interesting. That's pretty neat. So the album name is Burning Bridges. The 10th track is Burning Bridges. What made y'all settle on Burning Bridges? And can you tell me a little bit more about the song Burning Bridges?
Yeah. Justin.
That one. So I think we made it the title track there at the very end with the help of Richard, our producer, engineer. From a marketing standpoint, just like you said earlier, it's quick, short, and to the point, summarizes, a lot of the album. And so that made sense. It was a pretty easy decision.
Yeah.
Imagery, so, but the song started, that was just a riff or the chord progression I was playing one day in my garage years ago. That's a long time ago. And we just that progression, which is not fancy.
Yeah, those lines too at the beginning that were so that caught me, because I remember I carried the idea around that he sent me the idea and I carried it around forever, wanting to do something with it because that opening line struck me in a cool way.
Yeah, it's kind of like, to me, the song is very. It's like the guy's not giving up, but he's just kind of going mad, and I like nautical themed everything really.
Yeah.
And so being on a ship and I was like, maybe this could work at the end of the record for the journey that this
Right.
guy's been through. And then
Ship symbolizes kind of life. We're just floating.
through Nebraska, he ends up stranded in California, and then maybe he just gets on a freaking boat and goes crazy.
Yeah.
So we wanted the song to be a little psychedelic, which it may not sound that way to some, but for us, we put synthesizers on it and all kind of crazy stuff.
That's Justin yelling at the guitar pickups at the beginning.
Oh,
too.
that's right.
Really?
So that's a trick that Taylor had told me about from an old rock and roll record or something, where your picks can be a mic. And so we just turned everything up and I screamed into my guitar. So that fit what we were doing. I was like, any crazy thing that would fit on that song we wanted to do.
It's like the exclamation point at the end of the record that we
did. Yeah. And I mean, let's see. Looking through everything, I mean, y'all have, well, Nebraska is by far y'all's most popular song, stream wise. Burning Bridges is down there, but it's honestly one of my favorite off the record. I think a whole like you release an album like that and people go through like the beginning songs, and then they might not get to the last one, or just depending on what they're doing in their day, stuff like that. And then of course you released Nebraska as a single, so that helps too.
For sure.
Yeah, it's been out there the longest. And I think there's some anticipation because we were like, hey, we haven't released music in 2 years. Here's a new song from us. And the people that were keen on that really helped it go up,
Now, since I've been following y'all, it's been interesting. Like I've seen I Hope It Breaks Your Heart like rise up. Like I think it was like number 5 at one point if the album first came out. And Nebraska was up there, and then Out of Love and The Stone Will Sink and all that. But I Hope It Breaks Your Heart was kind of just risen up, and I find that really cool. And I think as records get older, more songs might get spotlighted.
Yeah, that's true. It's interesting.
That one went nuts like for a time, and it's still kind of outperforming the other ones. And I don't know why. It just started happening one day, and it kind of went it went nuts for about a week straight, and I was like, what in the heck?
That's everyone going through this like fall depression phase, and they're sending it to their significant other, and like that pissed them off, and like, I hope it breaks your heart.
Yeah, whoever likes to sulk in their misery, man, we're the band for you.
Yeah.
Hey, that's where I'm happy.
Yeah.
But so that's really cool. Let's see, what else was I going to say? I haven't delved into Against the Grindstone very much because I mean I get overloaded with music, like honestly. Just try and consume as much as I can, keep up with it, and then write articles. We're increasing our content like daily now. Before, I mean, I was writing once a week, if that. But now I got another writer on staff, and I got I got 2 other writers. They're also artists, so they just kind of do what they can, like whenever they feel like it. But within the next year and a half, 2 years, like I plan on doing something really big with us. I mean, I'm gonna hopefully have a really good full-time job once I finish my master's right now, and then I can invest back into Country Underdog. And we're going to open up a studio in the Dallas area and have bands come play live, just like a small live studio audience. Put the videos on YouTube, sit down for a podcast. People can just come by whenever they're between tour dates and stuff like that, hang out. Have a small little store in there with our merchandise on it, and then just our offices for just writing and keeping everything going. But
what's your degree in?
Business administration. And my master's is in entrepreneurial leadership.
Oh, okay, very cool.
Yeah. So did y'all go to college or what have y'all been doing, making a living?
I went to trade school to be an electrician,
Okay.
and I was in the electrical industry as an electrician and a project manager and a sales guy for like a little over 10 years, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and Now we run a business together. But you were a machinist.
Yeah, so I trade as well. I grew up as a machinist in my younger adult years. And then I went to school and studied guitar for a little while at HBU. And then they dropped the instrumental program my senior year. So
Oh,
newspaper writings about it. So I'm a college dropout, and so we run a
my dad is too.
Company. We service freestanding ERs with ultrasound techs.
Really?
Yeah.
And we've been doing it for 5 years, and
I did not expect that. I don't know what I expected y'all to do, but I did not expect that. That's really cool.
Yeah, it frees us up, and we work from our phones, and it's a huge blessing. So everybody thinks we made it, but we really didn't. We still work.
Yeah.
We just act like we're rock stars.
Still one way or the other.
Yeah.
See, I mean, that's really lucky for y'all because, I mean, there's so many artists out there who are either young and not in college and just trying to make it in the music industry. And it's just, unless you go and get like a record deal and they give you a bunch of money up front, you're not going to have much. But then they own your music. So it's kind of like what do you want? But so
it's a money pit, man. We Justin and I have not taken any kind of paycheck from the band probably ever. We dump it all back in.
Yeah.
A business that has never turned a profit.
All the tens of dollars.
Yeah.
So ideally, whenever y'all are doing this, like, is it something y'all want to go like huge, or y'all want to just stay like just doing what y'all are doing? Like what if you woke up one night and y'all blown up millions and millions and millions of streams and followers? Would y'all go like touring like arenas and stuff like that?
Heck yeah. we wouldn't ever play 200 shows a year or anything like that. We've got families, you know. But if things went nuts overnight and we were going to sell out an arena, yeah, we'd go taste that for a while. That'd be great. But
yeah, because I mean, there's people in Texas who are like, nah, screw that. Like, I want to do what I'm doing right now. I don't need anyone telling me what I can and can't do. Which has actually been really cool seeing guys like Cody Johnson, Randall King, Parker McCollum, Co Wetzel. They've within that last year or so, they've signed these record deals that are first of its kind. That they get. Basically, it's just promotion. They just get promotion.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, Nashville has seemingly realized that Texas is a pretty big competitor, and there's some really good talent out here. Just in the red dirt scene, independent music across the country, that they have to compete with it. Because there are so many Nashville guys who have millions of followers on social media or streams and all this stuff, but they can't sell at a show like these Texas guys can.
Mm-hmm. A lot of those numbers are fabricated.
Oh yeah.
Promotional companies that are there. It's the same thing that you get like in Texas. It's the version of the paper spin, right? Like on radio, you know, that sometimes you get a radio promoter that'll say, oh, that you guys had a number one on the chart, but really you didn't get that many spins because it's just like a handshake, wink, and a nod kind of thing, you know. Mm-hmm. Same thing happens on a much larger scale for those guys. But we don't want anyone to ever tell us what to do. That's our thing. We want to be in control of our own schedules, our own things. And I think the dream for us is to write a song or songs that someone who does want to go play 250 shows a year will go and make it a hit, you know?
Yeah.
And if we could,
I remember you were talking about that on your Instagram live.
Yeah. Like, yeah, if you know someone famous who needs a song, man, let us know.
Who do y'all listen to a lot? Who do y'all take your inspiration from? I mean, you said like y'all don't want anyone to tell me what to do, which I mean, first thing that comes to mind when I think of that is, I mean, Aaron Watson mentality, the underdog. I mean, he was the first independent album ever to chart #1 on iTunes. So kind of that mentality. I think Texas. That's just Texas. and the red root scene in general. So, do y'all listen to a lot of Aaron Watson, or who? If not, who do y'all take y'all's inspiration from?
I'll let you tackle that one first.
So songwriting wise, I fell in love with, a guy called Towns Van Zandt.
Yeah.
A lot of old, I love old Cash stuff. And then Heartworn Highway. There's a good documentary that covers a lot of those guys, Steve Earle.
Okay.
And man, seeing how they just hung out, banged out songs, that whole spirit of, you don't have to sing right on key. It's about telling a story. Hearing Towns do Lefty and
Poncho and Lefty.
Lefty he's not singing almost anything in tune.
Yeah.
Because there's something different about it.
I think he just released another version of that.
Really?
Yeah, an acoustic version. They came out with a full acoustic album last night.
There you go.
Huh.
There you go. I'm on it, man. I'm on it. But let's see. So yeah, that's really cool. And I think one thing that
you guys to say we take inspiration from, but to be fair, in the songwriting world, it's hard not to. Chris Christopherson, who's written everything. But
yeah, Bruce Robeson, Skip Ewing, and we if I'm going to turn on Spotify and listen, I'm listening to Mandolin Orange.
Oh yeah.
John Moreland, Ray LaMontagne, Jason Isbell.
John Moreland is so good.
So good. So
he's very underrated.
I know, right? He's so good.
and I'm sure a lot of people don't know he's like 400 pounds, and they're like, "Whoa!" Yeah. I think that adds something extra to his music, actually.
Yeah, his performances too can be. He's got like a very somber approach to things, and there's a confidence about him too. It's just like he's just sitting on the stool playing his sad songs, and I freaking love that. We tend to overthink that so much, and it's like. It's not that hard, man. If you have a good song, like you go in there and you sing it and you believe in it, and other people are going to believe in it too.
Oh yeah, that's what it's about. Well, thank you guys. I know you got to go. I hope we can do this again, and I hope we can just be in contact, and y'all can let me know if y'all need anything, and vice versa.
This has been fun. Appreciate the time.
You got it, Reed. We really appreciate you having us, man. We'll talk soon.
Of course, just trying to build that content, man. Just trying to build those connections with the artists, and then get more people to see Country Underdog, and then that's it, man.
Good deal. Well, let us know if we can help in any way, man.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Justin. Y'all have a good day.
Take care.
Peace out.